You're listening to The Hustle Path.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Hustle Path, where we dive into real stories behind business, finance, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Pritam Saha, and today I'm here with a special guest.
Hello there. I am the co-founder of Intern Insider.
He's a fourth year CS student at UBC, the co founder and CEO of Intern Insider, the largest community for business tech internship seekers in North America, with over 85,000 engaged subscribers. He's already landed roles in Amazon and KPMG. So
Yeah,
yeah, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for pulling up. So for the people who don't know you
of
yet,
course.
who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I'm still in school. I'm a fourth year CS student at UEC, got one more year. Um, Fun fact is actually until grade 12, I wanted to become a dentist. Everyone in my family is kind of there, and didn't really have anyone does anything besides health sciences. That's where I was headed, and kind of realized I hate biology. I like math, so I picked on programming in grade 12, and I now attend UBC. It's like school in British Columbia, and I studied CS there. Did my first internship at KPMG, and while doing that internship, I realized I hated the process of looking for an internship, and kind of so did all my friends, and it was just a pain to land a position for the summer or fall. So we decided to kind of do something about it, my best friend and I. And that actually wasn't our first venture. Since our first year university, we've tried all types of stuff. We've done a clothing brand, we've done AI consulting agency, we have done like snacks brand, like I've done like kind of all types of thing. I kind of just build stuff for
Mhm.
fun. And the I guess most technically recent and successful venture that I picked on was Intern Insider, where we help students, North American students, land internships.
All right, man. Thanks for hopping on the podcast. We like to separate this podcast into three different parts: your origin story, like where you came from, what you did, building and execution, and future and what's next. So yeah,
Okay,
man,
that's it.
what were you like growing up? Were you always into tech or building, or did that like hit you later?
Yeah, I kind of like, I guess I already gave a sneak peek of that
Mhm.
answer, but I actually grew up in Iran. I moved to Canada when I was 15. Um, Iran is a very academic country, kind of like similar to some other countries in Asia, like China, for example. Since grade one, I started having private tutors, and by I think grade probably six, I was studying 14 hours a day, which is like not a very
Mm.
common experience like outside of like those
Yeah.
places. So I was not, I guess, like necessarily passion driven by any means, especially in like those years. It was just very academic, but more so, I guess I picked on I guess, the work habits. And in grade 11, I came to Canada. I went to Vancouver and attended a public school there. Didn't do AP, didn't do anything fancy, just the basic stuff. And my school was not very, it's Terry Fox Secondary. If anyone's from Vancouver would know where that is. But it's not known for academics. I think we only had like like less than 10 kids going to like the top two, three schools in Canada.
Mhm.
So not very much what we known for. We're more so known for basketball and football. Um, but yeah, in school, honestly, probably fairly nerdy. And started programming grade 12, took like a programming class in school, but didn't necessarily like I wasn't like a hobby. I didn't code in my free time. It was just for school, and it was like tons of if else statements, nothing fancy. And then COVID hit actually when I was in high school. I guess second half of grade 11, where everything became online, not focused on school, just kind of like scamming around, kind of a common experience for a lot of kids who went through that. And then coming to university, first term, I was again. So one thing about UBC is you get into general sciences off the bat. You don't get directly into computer science. To get into computer science, you have to like meet a certain grade requirement. Um, so I was very again focused on school. Ended up with like a decently high GPA and got into computer science. But in the second term of first year, I met my co-founder slash best friend, Kaz. I actually made a post about how we met on LinkedIn as well. Pretty much, I was just dying studying for this one math class, and I see this dude just shirtless walk through a comments block. He was like handsome man, and I was just already dying. I'm like, what the fuck? Fuck this shit. And so a couple of weeks later, I was at a friend's dorm. I see him, and I kind of asked like what was going on, and he told me that like he locked himself out of his dorm and whatever. But that kind of started our friendship. And one day, him and another friend came up to me, "Hey, we got an idea for a clothing brand. Do you want to hop on?" And I was not necessarily entrepreneurial myself that much at a time, but it's kind of one of those things that I think is pretty embedded into our culture that like people like start startups in university and you kind of got to hop on. And I thought this was my $1 billion chance. The idea at the time seemed brilliant, but it was stupid now looking back at it. But it was pretty much having the URL or the QR code of an album, your favorite album on a hoodie. So it's like a way of socializing as a first year student. I don't think it's that great, but we pitched in money, built our Shopify website, built our Printify website, and that was my intro to kind of building my own stuff. And I didn't even necessarily like the most fun part about it was the fact that I was just with my friends. We were like in our dorm, all kind of like for hours, kind of like drinking on the side, just working on this, just drawing. Like I was like at one point emailing Lil Uzi Vert's label, just thinking that we're gonna like get like copyright deals with them or whatever. Like it was just fun. We were just messing around, and then that didn't work. Obviously, we like lost money on that. And then after we tried a few other things, then in second year, AI came around, and to this point, I'm just like I code purely in school. I don't have any personal projects. I don't have anything. And this is second year university. Actually, that's also when I learned even HTML. I had never even touched HTML, but it's when I didn't know anything really when it comes to programming. So GPT came around, and I remember like first day that I launched, one of our friends was like really tapped into that side of things. So he showed it to us, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, this is insane. And we realized that, well, now we can actually have a personal website, because everyone was talking about you should make your own personal website, but I didn't know how to. But now it was kind of much easier. And at first, GPT wasn't good enough, kind of like Cursor these days, that like one shots it. So I ended up learning it alongside building it. And that was our intro to kind of coding on our own. And through a previous project, we knew there was a big market with newsletters, because it's like a very slept on industry. You wouldn't think because so many people give up their email for free. You don't think much of it, but as a business, there's a big market there. So we were thinking, this is like fast forward to second year, actually, I guess third year university, where I was on my first internship at KPMG. We were thinking about what newsletter would we personally read. So all ideas were going around: basketball, I don't know, music, whatever, but none of those seemed like the right fit for a newsletter. So I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and I saw another one of those stupid posts that I've compiled a list of 200 internships. Comment your email and I'll send you this list. Despise those, but they get good engagement, so fair enough. But I came across one of those and a few more, and each had thousands of comments, which showed that doesn't matter how many LinkedIn's are out there, doesn't matter how many solutions are out there. None of them were, I guess, intern focused. And also the market for jobs is so bad that students are always looking for something else. So because of that, we thought, what if we find the newsletters, the internships, and each week put in a newsletter and send it to all the subscribers. For a user, they subscribe for free and they get a list of new internships every week. There's pretty much no downside. So we made that, and at first we were scrolling through LinkedIn manually finding the internships, which was painful. And to get our first 100 users, which is another thing I posted about, we crashed a hackathon at UBC. We just were walking by, saw hackathons happening. So we go in there, had a QR on our phone, go up to tables one by one. Hey, are you looking for a summer internship? Everyone said, yeah. Have you started looking? No. Okay, we made this. Each week we'll send you the new internships, so you don't have to go on LinkedIn or anywhere else and search for them. And that's how we got our first 100 users. Then we got into paid ads, and it kind of just scaled from there.
How'd your first version look compared to now?
Well, you can probably scroll and find it, but it was 10 internships in a newsletter. And at first we were focusing on qualifications, responsibilities for each internship, and kind of all those all that description. And there have been lots of iterations to kind of figure out that if it's a newsletter format, students don't care about the qualifications or responsibilities. They just want to see title, company name, and where it is. And if they are actually interested, they'll go and read about it. So in terms of design, we made a lot of improvements. At one point, we were experimenting with just making an HTML newsletter, and we use Beehive as our newsletter, I guess, provider or like the platform, whatever it is. And at one point, we were experimenting with like writing custom HTML, but honestly, at the end of the day, we landed on the fact that the simpler it looks, the better. At the end, like students open this newsletter to look through internships, maybe look through some other opportunities there, and they want to get straight to the information. So if you go to our actual, like, I guess interninsider.me is like the landing page of our newsletter, and you scroll, you can over time see the iterations change. So we like definitely experimented with a lot of stuff. And I guess the current version that we landed at was inspired by kind of looking around and our own, I guess, in-house A/B tests.
So, before like Intern Insider, like what were like the biggest lessons you learned from like your past ventures and like experiments?
Yeah, I think, well, the biggest thing that the first one taught us was that before asking anyone else, would you buy a hoodie like this? Would you be interested in something like this? We just jumped to building. We like each put in like $200-300, like pulled our money, made a website, did everything just to realize that no one wanted it and the fact that it even looked good. So the first thing that we learned from it was, and like we can actually repeated that pattern with a lot of other businesses. Every time we would have a business idea, first thing, hop on Wix, make a website. Because at a time, it wasn't like you can one-shot a website really quickly. So hop on Wix, build a website, and do all the work to realize that no one actually wants this. So the biggest thing was, which is like a common practice right now, is before you build anything, find someone who's willing to pay for it. If it's a paid service, obviously, if like you're doing, let's say, I don't know, a BeReal, then that's a different case. But ask people about it, like whether they would use something like your product before actually going in and build it. Just do your market research first.
So growing users from 0 to 85K in just over a year is wild. What was the single biggest drive of that growth? Was it the paid ads? Was it the scaling that you took, or was it like the way you built the project, or how'd you implement it?
Yeah. The biggest thing was paid ads, but it's, again, we were two students doing it. It's not like we had any amount of money. Intern Insider, we like bootstrapped the whole thing. We never raised money, so we didn't actually have like an absurd amount of upfront capital to put into ads. One thing that we figured out, which was, I guess, the biggest driver behind Intern Insider, was a funnel where we could spend, let's say, $100 a day on Facebook ads, as an example, and we would actually make $150 back on those exact same subscribers that we would get. So we were pretty much getting paid to grow. Obviously, not scalable to infinity. The more money you spend, the higher your ad spend goes. But figuring out that funnel where through sponsors we will make that money back, and kind of like balancing that and over time increasing the budget. It went to the point that within like 4 months, we went from like stressing about spending $30 a day on ads to like spending like 1,000 to 3,000 a day on ads. So paid ads is definitely a big one, because our entire, I guess, age group and like Gen Z and whatever gens after that, they're all on Instagram. So Facebook ads does target that. But now we are actually making a big switch over to like more organic growth through like social media. And we have a big campaign coming up, and that's something we'll be focusing on. But also the other thing was our referral program. So we've like offered different things, different, I guess, incentives for people to refer their friends to our newsletter. So list of hundreds of new internships at a time was a big one. But then now we have free access to our job board, where we do gather a lot of internships.
So how did you find like your very first users? Like, were they connections or just random people? And how'd you get them to stick around?
Yeah, so I guess a good thing about our product was that it was a product built for university students primarily, or like high schoolers as students, and we were students ourselves. So just going to our university, we went to all of our friends, subscribed, probably got like not too many, to be honest, we got like 20 subscribers, 30 subscribers. Then after a bunch of our friends were execs at different clubs at UBC, so like Wix, WITS, is like Women in Computer Science, etc. We went up to them like, "Do you guys have a newsletter? Do you have any social channel? What are the odds that you shout us out?" Like, it's completely free, and your club members literally get new internship for free. There's like no downside for them. So that's how we got to like 100, 200, and then we did a hackathon where we crashed it manually, got like the other 100, and yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it, just tapping into our network. And as this, I guess our big motto was that we are students building a solution for students. So kind of like that was the approach we took, because any other company out there building something for interns, which there aren't many, most solutions are just general recruitment tools where they have an intern section. But we were the only like actually like students building the solution for students. So we understood the problem best, and that's something that we try to use when going up to other students and talking to them. Like, we understand the problem and we're building this for you. Can you just shout us out for free? And a lot of times it did work.
Mm. So what's the tech stack behind Intern Insider? Because I know team plays a big role, like co-founders, founders. How'd you find your co-founders and maybe like other people? And are you accepting like interns or hiring people, or what are you doing with all that?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of the people on the team, as I mentioned, I've been my co-founder in
Yeah,
Starcy
your co-founder.
University. We've been pretty good friends. So that is a co-founder. Then in terms of other members of the team, we have two people who write our newsletters who were also like UBC students and also friends. So the one thing I guess that was like kind of convenient also about being a university student is when we need like a hire, we kind of have like access to a big immediate network. But then we have two writers there. We have had a couple of contractors do some dev work for us. That was more so like they reached out to us and we had some work available at a time. So we gave it to them. Then we're actually bringing on a new member, which soon he'll make a LinkedIn post announcing it. You can, if you go under people, you can already see it. But Kevin, he's also been a friend of mine since second year, and he's coming on as yes, he's been doing some work with Intern Insider for a bit, but he's coming on as a head of growth, where we're going to launch this big UGC campaign. Everyone doing them these days. But that is going to be a big focus of pushing more organic content out. So he's coming on, and I guess a little background about, so recently I was actually recruiting for that role, and for anyone curious about like what I was looking for in someone when it came to picking that, I talked to a bunch of people, and the biggest thing about Kevin that did stand out to me, besides, well, obviously he was a friend, but that's not something that I care about too much when it comes to bringing on someone an Intern Insider. He started a TikTok channel where I guess TikTok page where he grew his following to 10K in a couple of months, and he makes personal finance content. And the fact that I guess he actually went out there and did it and tried making content himself and it worked was a big motive. A lot of times, I think this would work with bigger companies, not as much with startups, is people who will reach out to me and say, oh, we haven't done anything, but we were very willing to learn. Being willing to learn is obviously a great thing, and everyone tells you like you should tell people we're willing to learn, and obviously like that is a very appreciated asset. But when it comes to startup, I think a thing that gets sometimes even valued more than that is the fact that you have like tried it on your own. Like you have actually tried doing it, because there is no job description necessarily when you join a startup. So I don't want someone who would come on and ask me like, oh, wait, what should I do next? What should I do next? I want someone who comes on and tells us what they are working on next. That was kind of like one differentiating thing that I looked for. And that's why it's going to be the new addition to our team. And we also have, there's another dev who is, well, I guess also a friend. It's kind of like the whole thing seems like a little bit of a, whatever. Yeah. So there's like a pretty good, so this guy, he's also built some startups, been to SF. So pretty crack guy. And that's who we've brought on as a dev, just helping us with our job board, since we're working on a few cool features. And so that is a team kind of behind Intern Insider. In terms of interns, we actually did just hire an intern for the upcoming fall, and we'll be looking for another intern for probably the January and summer after. With as we're going to kind of launch our next marketing campaigns, we do want like a big group of student content creators. And also, besides that, we're kind of thinking about some sort of a program where we actually bring on a few students and show them actually from the inside how Intern Insider was built. Kind of, I guess it's more of a mentorship thing. But one of the bigger goals that I personally have is to actually be able to kind of like make a lot of micro grants and help students, because I don't know, I was kind of like a student who went through it, had to build a lot of stuff on my own, and there wasn't much support available. So I kind of like, in an effort to go back, I'm going to bring on a bunch of students to kind of like show them all the insights of Intern Insider and how things been going. So that is the people, I guess, behind Intern Insider and what are our future goals for bringing people on. You did mention tech stack. We I guess I mentioned we use Beehive for our newsletters. It's probably, if you want to do a newsletter, you should do Beehive. It's the best one out there. Don't go Mailchimp, Substack, none of that. And we have a couple of products. One is our job board for students. That is, I believe, you guys are thinking CS tech stack. Then it's Next.js, TypeScript. We use Superbase for our database. We use Firebase for the jobs. That is the majority of it. Like there are AI integrations and a bunch of different parts of it. And we actually, the part that is kind of hidden, we have a software for universities. So that's something that we haven't promoted as much. But we're currently working with a bunch of universities in Canada and helping them source more jobs for their students. And there again, it's TypeScript, Next.js, and Firebase. Kind of like those are our go-tos usually.
So what do you think's been like the hardest moment of becoming like a founder? And like how did you like push through that?
Yeah. I think actually this is more unique, like more specific to a student founder perspective rather than a founder in general. But I did my first internship at KPMG, so I kind of had a little bit of ease of mind that like I've done like an internship at a decent company, but again, it wasn't a tech company or anything by any means, and it's not somewhere I would have wanted to return if everything goes south. So as I'm spending all of my time on Intern Insider, I actually didn't do a summer internship last summer to work on Intern Insider full time, and I'm giving this my all. Even though it's going well, still a bit of FOMO when you scroll on LinkedIn and like all UBC students are landing Stripe, OpenAI, like Amazon, Microsoft, and it's just such a big, I guess, internal battle where like, fuck, like what if like this all goes south and I graduate university, I just had a failed startup and now I got to find a job, and all these kids found a cracked internships that they're getting return offers to and making multi six figures a year. So that has always been, I guess, a big struggle, which is kind of why I even did my Amazon internship. I was like, fuck, I kind of like just like need that for my own sanity. But going through all that and meeting all the people that I've had is like, I guess now I am pretty certain on doing a startup, because actually, I don't know if I don't think this will get her into trouble, but certain someone, I'm not going to say who was, actually, this is before even my internship at Amazon. I talked to a principal engineer at Amazon, and what they told me was that do not try to do a FANG as your new grad job, or you just don't need to go to these companies early on in career. There always will be there. And when you're more senior, you can always go there. But let's say when you graduate at 21 or 22 from university, you don't have anything to lose. Like if you make 30K a year versus 400K a year, it's just kind of a matter of a lifestyle. The money that you save, you can save it a little bit later on in life too. I don't think it will be a make or break. So that's why I'm kind of set on the fact that I just want to experiment. I just want to have fun. I just want to build stuff. And if things don't go well, maybe in 5 years, I'll return to FANG, because they'll always be there. And this is kind of the time to take risk without having much to lose.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because like you're young, and a lot of people just say you're young, take risks. I mean, you only live life once, so I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's one failure or mistake that ended up teaching you way more than a success?
So pretty much we had the idea for our job board very early on to do an Intern Insider, probably about a year and a half ago, I would say. And we started building it, and we actually never released it because we went on to some other platforms and we looked at their internship board. One being, just gonna name drop them, whatever, Simplify. And it looked pretty cool. They had some features that I don't think any intern would ever use. There's like company statistics over time. I don't think anyone gives a fuck about that. But they had all this stuff, and it looked so fancy that it fully just discouraged us from doing it. We're like, well, there are other companies doing it. And at a time, even though like Simplify didn't have many internships available, especially for Canada, we thought that if they ever decide to like go full on in internships, then they would just kill us. So we didn't do it. And a year later, we decided to launch it and say, well, we kind of saw that it didn't rest too much. And we realized that doesn't matter what they do there, we'll always have our own market. And we are the platform built just for interns. That was kind of one differentiating thing that we had. And we built it, and it turned out to be a huge success. And it made us realize that if we actually had launched it when we initially planned on doing so, probably would have been retired by now. Like it would have been done. I wouldn't have to do this anymore. But the biggest lesson from it was that, and you see this with a lot of other startups out there. Just because something else is out there doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. With initially when it came to ideating, a lot of times I would think of ideas for like either Intern Insider or another startup. I would go on Google, search it, and I saw that it already existed. So I'm like, someone's already doing it. Whatever, I'm not going to do it. But that should never be something that holds you back, because there's always something that they're not doing fully right, or there's a different way that you can market the exact same product and it will work. I think an example is Cal AI. There was another Cal AI before Cal AI. They failed. I don't know if it was like a YC-backed company or it was something, but Blake Anderson, they bring the same thing back. They just did the marketing right and the exact same product worked. So do not be discouraged if the idea that you had is already being built out there. Just more so look at them, see what they're maybe missing, or how can you market the same thing differently. And another example is Tinder versus Hinge. A big thing that besides the fact that there is more of a personal element to Hinge, a thing that they did is going on Hinge doesn't feel as degenerate as going on Tinder, is more so because how they market it to you. It's more so a plane of like going like actually looking for intimacy rather than a hookup. So same thing can be formatted in different ways, and that way you'll attract different audiences.
So right now, Intern Insider has over 86,000 users, right? So in like the next 2 to 3 years, where do you see Intern Insider going, and how much do you want to grow this?
Yeah, so that's kind of like, it's like almost a hard question to answer, because a year ago, what we were thinking was that once we had 20K subscribers, like that would be insane. We're done. That's enough money for us to like sustain our lives, and that's kind of where we stop. But it kept growing, and like right now we're I think actually at 93,000 subscribers. I haven't really updated those numbers out there, but we're the biggest tech and business internship newsletter in North America, and the goal is to keep going forward with that. And there are no dedicated internship platforms out there. So our goal is to kind of be the one tool that students need to learn everything about internships, apply to all of them. So I guess the ultimate vision that we have for Intern Insider is this entire, what's the right word? I guess like ecosystem where you'll learn about all the ways to apply to internships. You'll learn about how to build your resume, because we do have like that section on our job board where it's more so like for educational purposes. But you go learn about all these things. Then we have a section where you have all the jobs, and we will have tools such as AI resume builder, cover letter builder, all those things that help you mass apply to jobs. And you get a job, we'll have our own interviewer where you come back and practice with. So the goal is to have the all-in-one platform just built for interns, because no company out there is really doing that. They're all just doing a general solution with an intern section, but something built primarily for the student experience.
So I know mentorship plays a key part in like building a project or doing a startup. Did mentorship personally help you, or do you think you were just kind of all on your own and you were your own mentor, or you saw like motivational videos that helped you be?
Yeah, well, I guess like last, but kind of like change the answer. Motivational videos. I don't necessarily they're like always hype videos that you watch, kind of get yourself hyped up. But a podcast that I do listen to a lot is Alex Hormozy. He's like my kind of like go-to every day. I listen to him, and he is on a mission. I'm kind of like just giving him promo, but he's on a mission to build $1 billion company. And he wants to build it publicly, sharing all of his secrets. And one thing that I do appreciate really about his content is first podcast that I ever listened to, it was all kind of just like real casual, straight to the point stuff. He's not trying to sell you anything. He doesn't need your money. Like, he's already a successful guy, and he's just genuinely sharing his experience and his learnings. And that does motivate me a lot. But besides that, newsletters are kind of more of a niche. So it's kind of like hard to find the big dogs in there. There's like the Rundown AI, or like, I don't know, like Morning Brew and all the big ones, but they're too big to talk to us. So even though we didn't have direct mentors too much for building a newsletter, actually my co-founder knew a guy who had previously scaled a couple of newsletters. But besides that, what we did is we found founder communities in Vancouver. There are some in Vancouver and like other big cities in Canada, and there are tons in America, I would also imagine, where it's a co-working space for founders. So pretty much what you do weekly, you get together, you just work together, build stuff, you demo it. And the biggest thing about that was the support that you get from all the other founders out there, because they're in the same shoe as you. They don't know if they'll make it. They don't know if it'll work, but everyone's just kind of there to help you. And it's more so finding that community that does help a lot. And like, even though people are in the exact same niche as us, they did provide us with mentorship or put us on the right path to get to the answer.
Um, if you woke up like tomorrow and let's say like everything is just gone, like the company's gone, the users are all gone, the subscribers are just all gone, and you have to start from like ground zero, like what would you do
Mhm.
to scale it back up?
Intern
And
insider
what
specifically, or can I do anything?
Or anything,
uh
yeah.
anything like what would you do to scale it up, and what would you give advice to young generation students to do next and what they should use?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing that I would do, this is kind of like a framework that I've made for myself in terms of like if I was to build the next thing, I would first start by thinking about who are the people that I want to build for. Well, there are a couple of ways of going about this. One is you do stuff on your day to day, or you do whatever, and you see what are all the problems that you come across. And each problem that you see, or each way, or each thing that you do where you think could have been done more efficiently, you can start looking into, well, is there anyone out they're doing this? How are they doing it? Would people like are other people sharing the same experience as me? Where like this is just like a tedious thing to do. I don't want to do this. I don't want this automated. So one way is as you bump into problems doing this, let's say like we're having a podcast and you say, well, let's say I wish there was like a software dedicated for making podcasts, which I'm assuming they're out there. I haven't looked at too much, but that is an example. So you can either go about it that way, or if you genuinely don't have any problems, you're living the perfect life, but you still want to build something, is you can think about who would you want to build for. Let's say one thing is realtors. Then you go and go up to a few realtors and say, hey, I'm just a student. I'm trying to learn and I'm passionate about building. And most of the time they'll say yes and talk to you because you can always use your student card. The beauty about being a student is that everyone is willing to talk to you and brag about themselves. Who doesn't like flexing? So when you go up to them and approach them in a way that you show like you're just there to learn and you admire them, they will always give you some of their time. And once you get in a call with those guys, you can ask them, well, what are your problems? What does your day to day look like? What do you spend most of your time on? How, like, what would have to happen, for example, for you to make more money or like see more clients, whatever. And as you learn what their problems are, you go start again looking into those problems. Now, instead of solving your own problems, you're solving other people's problems. You look at what's out there and you find a couple of people who are very willing to like help and support you to build this product. For example, with the B2B side of Intern Insider, University of Guelph, Northeastern University, and UBC were our champions, where they work really closely with us and just kind of invested in us as students and as young people to be able to build something good. Our software, when they initially paid for it, wasn't even good, but they more so invested in us. And you need those people who are willing to kind of work with you and help you, I guess, build your thing up. So, yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that.
All right, man. We have 2 minutes left. I have one last question. This is out of topic, but you've built a startup. You're in the space. What are your thoughts on Cluely?
Truly, there's a couple of things about them from a technological standpoint. Well, it was pretty cool when it first came out, but now everyone knows what a technology is. There are many anti-Cluelies out there, but none of them necessarily get seen by people because of their marketing. I think the founder, his name is Roy himself, like he posted, they don't care how good their software is, as long as you get a
Yeah.
billion views a month, you will sell and make a lot of money. And that is kind of what they do. As long as their whole thing is centered around rage baiting people, and as long
Yeah.
as annoying, as long as sorry, as annoying as that is, like it's kind of fair to them. They played all their cards right, and they're making a lot of money. They're a bunch of young kids making tons of money, buying like Teslas and doing whatever. They're just fucking around and having fun. So can't hit on them. Do I think there will be longevity? Personally, not necessarily, because it is everything is riding off virality. So props to them for whatever they're doing, and they're playing their cards right. They're having fun. Can't talk too much shit about that. But the one type of people that I will talk shit about, because this I actually saw yesterday morning when I first opened my LinkedIn, and it was like I woke up early, went to get coffee, was having a great morning, it actually ruined my whole day. Was well, that's a bit of exaggeration, but I opened LinkedIn to this guy posting. I won't name drop him, but the description might be descriptive enough. But he said, the most handsome man on LinkedIn reacted to my post. Roy, the founder of the most viral startup out there, liked my post. It happened because I took a risk. You just made a post about a guy reacting to your post. Like, do you know how stupid that is? this guy does not give a fuck about you or anyone. Like, why are you making it? Like, go do something. Like, stop trying to leech off their clout. Go do some shit of your own. And they love it because, like, obviously, it's giving them more clout. And one thing about him, I'll tell you, is one of my friends. I don't know. He messaged them to like do content for them, like join their team, and they replied to like all their because like actually, if I'll factor out certain stuff, but this is like hypothetical, well, like not hypothetical. Let's say like my friend is like he makes content in fitness and say, "Oh yeah, I do content in fitness, and like this is what I've done. Can I join your guys' team?" And they reply, "We all know how to work out a low bro," or some shit like that. That was their entire email response. So
Yeah.
they want people to rage and go post about him, and that's why I refrain from like you'll never catch me trying to give them that clout. But okay, yeah, same thing happened. But yeah, pretty much props to them. I don't think necessarily they're a revolutionary company doing good marketing, but people who are trying to leech off shit like that, like that's cringe as fuck. Like I'm all about like, oh, go do your own personal brand on social media,
Yeah.
do that, and there should be no hate. But that actually for some reason triggered me so much. I'm like, you just made a post about a guy reacting to your post. Like shit like
Yeah.
that is insane, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on
Actually, I saw that post yesterday on my LinkedIn feed. Yeah, I saw it.
it. It genuinely almost like motivated me to make a like a LinkedIn hate watch platform or
Uh,
something like that. Like it actually
wait,
pissed me
who
off so
posted
much.
it? Who posted it?
Shit, it's still getting recorded. Cannot like I don't want to hate on a kid randomly, but
Mm,
it was just like
mm,
insane.
yeah.
I guess Joshua like knows who it is. He can probably show you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh,
like I'm
yeah.
not
Yeah.
trying to hate
I'll
on
look
him,
it up.
but that is insane. Like I
Yeah.
cannot do even if fucking Elon Musk reacted to your post, someone reacted to your post. Why the fuck are you posting about it?
Yeah, I
It's the
know.
dumbest shit ever. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people just look for like ways to get clout nowadays because they can't, I guess, do
Yeah, I mean, he
business.
continued to beg him for a job in that post, and he just like replied like a lol or some shit. And it was like it's
Uh,
just kind of like embarrassing at that point, personal opinion.
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my take on Chloe.
Mm.
Mhm. Well, Ashka, we really appreciate you for coming on the on the Hustle Path. And I know this episode was full of so many gems, bro, and I learned so much in like the short 30, 40 minutes we had. And everyone make sure you go follow him on LinkedIn and go follow Intern Insider on Instagram, TikTok, and any other platform it's on. And Ashka, where can people find you actually? Oh no, did he freeze it?
What? No, you're good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
where can people find you at?
I mean, mention LinkedIn is a good place. Well, if you, yeah, LinkedIn's a good place. And I am on Twitter, not as active though, so probably best place to find me is LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if you liked the episode, make sure to share, like, and follow Akshan. So, Akshan, thanks for hopping on, man. Definitely stay connected with us, right?
Yeah, of course. Sounds good. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on and props to you for doing this. It's pretty sick.
All right.
Alright, Brody, stop listening now. Go touch some grass.